Hello everyone and welcome back to round 3 of the Motei GP Sprint Championship. We have the finale today coming from Motei in Japan. Now, this championship hasn't been very strict in terms of bike selection. People have jumped across bikes and changed and stuff like that. Now, historically and usually I don't like to do that. I like when any sort of league, whether it be the most ultra competitive serious league or just kind of a fun little league towards the end of a season like this, I still like to kind of pick a bike, pick a rider in this case, and just stick with it. So coming into Motei, Maverick Vignette is probably not a great track really for Maverick, and especially the Aprilia, as we jump to qualifying here and it's just in the background. Aprilia straight line braking isn't amazing. Straight line braking on this mod isn't amazing. We've gotten 2 front rows, 2 P2s so far in qualifying in Valencia and Termas, which is very unlike me. I'm not a qualifier by any means. It's Sunday where I make up my points and stuff. So coming into this one, we had a chance of 3rd in the championship if things went our way on Sunday, and basically the man I need to beat was Endjerk. He looked to be struggling a bit this weekend, judging by the warm-up and practice times. It looked like a lot of crashes, but then again he also was quicker than me, so I was kind of thinking, well, could be up against it here, but I wasn't really sure what the kind of race goal was going to be like, because I know for pretty much certain this mod is very, very hit or miss when it comes to straight line braking. And Motei, as you can see with the track map on the right there, a lot of heavy braking, and there's even brakings like this which isn't massively heavy, and you'll see in the next corner here again it's another, I think, 4th gear. You're kind of going back to 1st gear again, kind of heavy. It's still a heavy-ish braking zone. You need a bike that's really working. Yeah, unfortunately I had to do a lot of setting up this bike. Usually my setups don't go a million miles off. They just change a few things just to make the bike a bit more in my shall we say favour. You can see how much it was dancing on the brake there into the very tight corner. I'm very lucky there not to crash because the amount of moving from the bike, and it was one of those tracks where it doesn't really suit my style. I don't really like it, don't really enjoy it. I have to kind of go and try a little bit harder to get anything out of this one. So coming into this one, wasn't expecting much, just was hoping really that I could take points off Endjerk, and here at the end of this session we went up to P3, but in the end pushed back to P4 on the grid, so we are pretty far off the front row compared to normally. But we're going to jump straight into the sprint because there's so much to get through in this episode. Changed my clutch for this one after all my terrible starts, and well, yeah, look at this. When a man has a clutch, he can just about lead into turn 1. Now unfortunately we go very wide because we're basically around the outside of the pole man, and unfortunately he starts lagging, which is really unfortunate because then I'm kind of nervous. You saw with a close the throttle, went to the outside, and it's on my mind, and we end up getting very close to him, and yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bikes have gone through. So we went from 4th to 1st to 8th, all in the matter of a bit of the dump of one clutch and a bit of lag. So it's really unfortunate that our sprint has started this, but look, it's good for the video. If I got to P2, realistically I probably wouldn't have anything for Danny Savani on his Ducati at Motei. So straight away here we are fighting back with Luca Rock, who's 2nd in the championship. If things went really bad for him, we might be able to sneak P2. It's unlikely considering his speed, but unfortunately here, interchange directions, big moment. Lucky at Bunta just looks like he gets a tap, but is okay, so we gain 2 positions back, or at least 1 anyway on Lucard. Superman on the other Aprilia getting very, very close to my back wheel, scared me. I think he is after tipping off in the back. There's a couple of riders down with the green flags. So we're now up into P5. We have closed in on the biker on an M1 around here. Probably not the best bike to be at Motei. A lot of long stretches of straights and heavy braking wouldn't be what you'd class as a typical Yamaha M1 track. We're at midpoint here of lap 2, and we're basically can see the front 3 getting slightly away, so we are eager to pass the Britain on the M1. So again, Motei, heavy braking zone everywhere. You're thinking surely it's easy to pass. It's actually not, because these bikes have I don't want to say a soft limiter in terms of braking, but to make time on the brakes it is so risky, and that's not the way I like to ride. I like to brake reasonably deep but get off the brakes nice and early. Just a prime example here. Look how bloody close we get to the back of him. We square the corner off a bit better. I think maybe the V4 Aprilia, and again unfortunately for him, he seems to be lagging around as well, which is something he started to lag lately, which is not like him. But we do go for the move down into this technical little corner. We go a touch wide, and just squared off again using the V4 engine just to get a nice V out of the corner. We just took our hands up, say thank you that he didn't run into the back of us, because I did kind of square it off and leave him no room. So we're up in now to P4, and we have a nice bit of empty road to run into. You can see here a lap later we've already ed up the road up to the back of Mystic Prune. Already have for podium in this season. Last time out in the sprint, he's on for another very good result here in the sprint. And as Endrick, the main man I need to beat in P2, so straight away my eyes are on the big red Ducati. Svani already is kind of, he's already after winning championship realistically. He's going to confirm it in this race, but it's pretty much done. You can see now we're after catching Mystic very, very fast, but passing a Ducati at this track is going to be very difficult. So we're going to have to try something a bit out of the ordinary, because I think straight line braking is not on the card for me on this Aprilia. Just one of those things where I don't really feel like. So to be honest, when we caught Mystic, the big thing for me was just brake late, but don't try and do anything silly. Don't be trying to outbrake him, find time in the brakes, because that's just not really going to happen up against the Ducati and stuff. So I'm braking nice and deep a lot of the time here, but what I'm trying to do is just hit my markers and hope that, like Endrick there now went wide, and hopefully I can capitalise on corner exit and get a nice flowing line. You can see the two of them now are getting very close. I'm thinking, well, they battle, maybe I can kind of piggyback my way through and just kind of jump away from them. So we get very close to the back of Mystic, and he comes down into turn 1 now. Gap's not massively wide, but unfortunately just goes a touch wide, just slightly off the race line. And you could just see as it came in there, it was slightly on the move and it just unloaded and took the front. So unfortunately he slides out of P3, but that puts us back up into podium position after him running off on lap 1 into this corner here. So again, sprints, good recovery, showing again that my pace is very good. Again, one of the quicker people on track. It's just I don't really have the ability to overtake as much as I'd like, whereas in Valencia I overtook a lot of people, not with ease, but I really felt strong and I could make the moves, and I was kind of aggressive, but I was fair, and in a way I could really just push the envelope when I needed to. But the big strength I have is around this kind of X section here. We can kind of see already how many bike lengths we've just been taking out of Endrick. We've really rolled up to the back of him through this really technical section that just really suits my riding style, as well as probably the Aprilia as well. Think of the way Maverick rides it in real life. So for me, felt like I had a chance of beating him in the sprint here, because I just felt like I was getting close to him, and just needed to kind of be close enough when we got to corners like this. Again, just a touch wide there from Endrick, but you can just see now when he gets the GP23 up onto the back wheel, it just pulls another couple of lengths away. So if I pull away a lot in the really flowing sectors, it's very hard for me to kind of match him out of these slow corners. But again, we look like we gained a bit back on the brake. So at this moment in time, with just coming on to kind of 3 laps to go, I'm pretty content being within 3 bike lengths of him at this point. So I'm not really concerned with the gap, and judging by the last lap, we definitely can take time out of him in the technical stuff. So I was pretty happy just to kind of sit here and maybe try and spring a move in the really fast flowing parts of the track. And again, we're getting closer and closer here, but I just feel like that when we get to the turn 2, turn 3, turn 4 and really long drags out of corners, I will just lose a bit of time, and I brake a good bit deeper here. You can see how hard we get on the brakes, and we close in a bit. But again, closing on the brakes is one thing, getting close enough out of a corner like this on a Ducati to make a pass is, it's just like, I'm not out braking from here, like, and I'm not making mistakes here. He's just getting that super drive and it's pulling away. And again, just as we get to the mid corner, I pull it back a small bit, but it's just not enough. And you can see now again, get to the part of the track where I'm confident and strong. I can see just my mid corner speed there is so much better. I can just see watching it back to yards and gaining again in here, pretty much all over the back of him again. So it's nice to have this strength and ability. And we think about it in here, we can have a look and think, right, maybe the last few laps we could spring a move, but it's a very much a block pass, and we're trying some slightly different lines to get it a little different exit. Unfortunately, we do actually just touch the dirt there, which does cost us a small bit. But we are on lap 6 now of 9, so we don't have all day to kind of get this move done. So we really, if we want to beat him in the championship overall and try and get a top 3 in the championship, we have to really beat him in the sprint, because just to put the pressure on for the main race. But at the moment, Endrick's defense has been perfect. He hasn't really been making any mistakes since Mystic crashed a couple of laps ago, so not really been able to really show my wheel or anything at this moment in time. If he kind of continues the way he was going, there wasn't much I could kind of do. The pace is pretty decent. It's pretty hot for this sprint here on the Saturday of the Motei. So for me, there wasn't anything I could do in terms of just turning the wick up. I could maybe try a bit more fuel in terms of mapping, but I actually personally felt using more fuel made the Aprilia worse, and basically corner exit wasn't as good. Definitely changed the engine braking, like the whole effect of the rear wheel on the brake. It was very strange. So engine mapping 1 was not being used very much. I think that was probably a bit of the issue why corners like this, where you can see again, haven't really made a mistake in the whole first sector of this lap. You can see him maybe a tenth off my personal best, but he's pulled away so much. So looks like Hendrick has either found a small bit or is just absolutely pulling away from me in terms of just being able to be a bit more consistent in his sectors. And again, we're definitely catching him back up on in the high entry speed corners and stuff like that. But when he's pulled that much out of the fire in terms of turn 1, 2, and 3 and 4, like it's really tough to bring that back to get a wheel alongside him to pass. So at this point in time I was thinking, well, I'm going to have to keep the pressure up and and hope for the best really. But unfortunately in here he has what I would like to call the GP23 manual crash. It's just the mod really. Like, that is not a mistake from Hendrick. Unfortunately, that is just one of those things. Like, I've watched it back so many times in the editing process, and unfortunately that was just one of those things where his brake maybe slightly on lean, slightly on the curb, and it just goes woo, 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 and he's down. There's nothing you can do to stop it, there's nothing you can do to save it, there's nothing you can do to prevent it. Just one of those things. So unfortunately everyone coming in to this weekend was expecting one of those crashes, and unfortunately he got one at a terrible time. We do end up taking P2 in the sprint. Biker gets his first podium of the season in P3, so perfect for me. In the end, Hendrick actually retired. He fell through the map, believe it or not, so he didn't score at all in the sprint, which means coming into the main race, which we do not have audio for, do not know why. It was all the one recording. Don't know how I lost audio, but here we are on the grid. 18 laps of Motegi. Kill me now. And again, new clutch. Who this? Good start once again. Unfortunately, this time we don't lead into turn 1, but we're pretty close to Frisky. He just goes out onto the curb. We're kind of looking here, can we get a good drive out here? Now, in between these sessions, the track is reset because we join the server on the first server to practice qualifying in a sprint. So lovely rubbered, nice and dry and good grip. And then we join this one, do a 15-minute warm-up, and then we go to race. So the track is completely different, and you'll see here I'm having so many issues. Been overtaken by Mystic, braking straight line, just move out of Hendrick's way, and I have a little one of these bobbles just like he did. I picked the bike up, and unfortunately a small bit of netcode maybe on me. Mystic gets kind of picked up and just run wide slightly by Hendrick, going for an aggressive move early, and he kind of drifts across. I pick the bike up and we just tangle on his screen. I hit him. Unfortunately, it does look maybe like it was on me. We didn't get a penalty for it, but it was just unfortunate because Mystic had serious pace as well as I, and that's just annoying to start off the long race by giving the top guy such an advantage. And unfortunately here, green track again, just another one of those crashes when the grip is low. You can see I'm having moments out of the corners, it's weeding and stuff. So in the first lobby when we joined, all week long I was using a soft front medium rear. That was just the best feeling I get in straight line braking. Funny enough, a soft front. You can see out of there again, tank slapping like you wouldn't believe. And the soft front just gave me nice stability under front braking. Now, historically, a soft front will not give you stability, it'll give you very good edge grip, but just the way the mod rides at the moment, we won't really question it. And I was confident coming in that that would be my race kind of tyres. It was what I was using in every session because it was just the most consistent. I had most comfort and kind of confidence in overtaking as well. Came into the actual lobby, so the previous lobby where we had the warm-up practice and sprint and qualifying, and basically was having all these moments I didn't have. Fortunately, that is the biker after tipping off here on lap 2 of the full race, and that is Hendrick now ahead of me. Oh no, it's Pistol, sorry, too many red Ducatis, get confused. So at the moment this is really swinging in Hendrick's favour. But just kind of back to this session, speaking of swinging in Hendrick's favour, that is Enea Bastianini, also known as Hendrick, and he's down. We had a quick look there on Pistol, but basically we had a good entry speed and we caught him a lot out of the previous corner, but just there was no point in kind of sticking a move in. It'd be crazy to go for a move when we were that far back. But you can see his lines just are a little bit on the rough side. Again, small bit of lag from him, so it looked like it was one of those laggy sessions. He's a touch wide there. We're going to take a really tight clean line and just try and run it out to the end of the track and get good drive, which we do. So thankfully that's another couple of positions back up into the top 6. But when we joined this session, or go back to the previous session, couldn't use the soft front, so end up going and qualifying with a medium front soft rear, which is again completely reversed of what I was doing. So it was all up in the air and slightly different. So for me, changed everything, and it worked okay in the sprint, and again qualifying was decent, so I wasn't too worried. Lap 6 here, complete lapse of concentration, simple as that. When you've a track like this that requires such heavy straight line braking, it's quite easy just to kind of just a lapse of concentration can happen. And unfortunately, a lap later, this happens on a green track with this mod. Like, I've watched that many times. I don't really see what I've done wrong. It's just one of the things where it just doesn't agree with me into that corner, and I'm down. So 7 laps, 3 crashes. Unfortunately, Mystic and Biker have collided. Thankfully, Biker gets right off the race lane, and we get back up into about P6. So at this point in time, it looks like we are on to take 3rd in the championship. Luke Hyde is a couple of positions ahead of me. It probably was never going to have an option. At this point here, we're going to have our 4th crash. Basically, forgot to disable chat. A big message popped up on screen, and just got distracted and touched the curb. So the joys of online racing and kind of these small things. Unfortunately, there we do see N-Jerk retire. Couple of crashes and mistakes and stuff, and he's kind of just retired from the race. So that confirms we will get 3rd in the championship. As it stands, Luke Rock is in P3. So I think we did beat him in the sprint, and it was looking coming into the main race that we might have an outside shot of taking 2nd overall. But at this moment in time, P3 for him, P7 as of right now, maybe P6 if we can get ahead of Biker. So that would be the goal. But again, we're going to need some bad fortune with 6-7 laps here left of this Motei race. But just kind of back to the whole tyre saga, we went into this session, and the one thing you never want to do, so a lot of people will make a setup and they'll build on the setup and they'll change it and they'll keep changing it up until the race lobby, and like, that doesn't feel right. I'm the sort of person that will start off, make a setting, have a direction, and then get a setting that I'm comfortable with, and then I will basically mold myself around the bike with that setting, and then I know every aspect of the bike with that setting. I know what it's going to do, I know exactly what gears to be in, I know everything down to a T. And the reason I'm kind of saying that is because I didn't follow my own rule. I felt like I forced myself into making a change for the sprint, and then just a simple kind of lapse in concentration, thinking that this was the same session, which it wasn't. It was a whole new lobby, which means that everything is fresh again, different temperatures, different this, different that. So, and I ran basically the wrong tires. So for me, a small mistake there that's kind of cost me big in this race, because even here now behind Biker, I'm not trying to brake late. You can just see the bike is just dancing. It just has no stability on the brakes, and it was really, really unfortunate, because I was okay when I really had to push. I could do a lap time, but the consistency wasn't there. That was the main thing that I didn't have in this race. Unfortunately, it was just the consistency just didn't work for me, and in the end, really, we've paid a massive kind of penalty here. We are catching again in the fast and flowing parts of the track. We're trying some different lines because he's kind of well aware of my strengths of the flowing parts of the track, so he's going kind of across the lane, and we go to the outside here, and you can see how nervous and jittery the bike is. And that was one thing that I had the bike set up perfectly, that was nice and smooth, and just the front is tucking, the rear is spinning, it's bucking and bronking, and then when it grips at wheelies and stuff, it was the whole 18 laps it was fighting this bike, and it was just a shame really. But I think going forward, this championship kind of needs a better solution for the main race, because the fact of us having a sprint qualifying and practice on one lobby, and then we have to jump to a green track which has no rubber down, it feels totally different. I kind of feel like Scott Redding and Maverick Vinales here with the Dunlop rudder down on Sunday, and the track feels totally different. But everyone complains about what the green track is. You can kind of see bikers moving around, I'm moving around, other people have had bad races because of it, and it is a bit of a shame. But coming into turn 1 now here, we're on lap 12 of 18. We decided to go for a little cheeky move into turn 2. We just roll around the inside, haven't gotten the move done yet. He's out in the curb, we have to roll throttle just to keep the bike on track. We are just ahead, we brake a touch early, we give him the room if in case he does go for it, but he doesn't manage to outbrake us, and that's us back up into P6 for now. So hopefully we can keep P6 and bring it home for a decent-ish result. Can't really say for sure if it'll be a decent result. Luke Hyde in P3 is still basically confirming second place. Frisky has crashed in a very difficult corner. They came together with Mystic, I believe, and he tries his hardest to get back on and stay ahead, but you can just see that just goes a touch wide down. We're very optimistic, get it down into tied into the corner. We get down into power 1. You can see again when we ask for the power and try and push this bike, we just don't have the overall grip, and we now know that he's going to be right on our tail. So the next couple of laps here are going to be crucial to see if I can get some more points, as well as trying to finish off the race and the championship on high note. So we're going to really try and push here to see can we gap Frisky, because his pace, especially in this race, was just probably a lot more consistent. Again, you can just see they're constantly having a mistake, but we do end up pulling away from Frisky, and yeah, lapse of concentration at this point. Throughout the race, everything I've been saying here of kind of the post-mortem, the diagnosing, everything that was going on in my head, I think a lot during the race and try and figure out why things are going this way. And we're now behind the biker. Prime example of why I've had a bad race. Just look at that into that corner. Just braking a straight line, the bike just starts doing all these weird shapes. Unfortunately, it's going to be a poor-ish result in the end. We finished P6. I know Max Hood says P5, but you can see Bike is after basically dropping out his transformer, so he does finish ahead of us on track. P6 overall. Luke Hyde Rock in P3, so that basically confirms no chance of getting P2, but it was one of those disappointing races. Didn't feel like I did much wrong. Obviously the mistake at the start with Mystic was a bit annoying that we both ended up going down. But we do get our P3 in the championship, and to be honest, again, I think it was fair. Savani had a bit of margin over everyone. I was roughly second, maybe third quickest throughout the championship, so again, to finish top 3 I was pretty happy with. And again, I wasn't on the Ducati, so that's a big kind of asterisk next to my name that I didn't have the Ducati underneath me. So as I obviously like to do it kind of the more difficult way, but yeah, that's pretty much it for this championship. There will be loads more in the new year, but for now, I suppose this probably could be potentially the last GP Bikes video of the 2023 kind of saga and season of GP Bikes. But I hope you have enjoyed this one. It was a fun little championship. Thank you once again to Tavea and Mark for hosting and just all the competitors and stuff. And again, I hope to see some of you on track again in the new year for some more GP Bikes racing. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Slán go fóill.